back to JB Sports. I'm your host, Jonathan Burton, and today we are going to go straight into NFL and stay on NFL the whole entire episode because there's a lot of stuff to go through. First of all, we're going to start with the Steelers and possibly benching Justin Fields for Russell Wilson. So, in the news, it's been reported that Russell Wilson has been getting some more first team reps, and it looks like he might start over Justin Fields. And to me, I don't see how you can take Justin Fields out yet. Justin Fields has said that he isn't playing as good as he should, but if you go through his stats last year, so in the first 6 games of last year, Justin Fields had a passer rating of 91.6, 121 yards, 11 touchdowns passing, 1 touchdown rushing, and 6 interceptions. So he had a lot of passing ones, but if you look at the record, it was 1-5. So the stats were kind of good. The record wasn't showing. And if you look at his passing touchdowns, he only had 5 more the rest of the year. If you look at the stats for this first few games this year, the top six, Justin Fields has a pass rating of 93.9, which is better. 1,106 yards, less yards, but not by a lot. 5 touchdowns, 5 less touchdowns, but you had 5 rushing touchdowns. So he has 10 touchdowns this year compared to the 12. So it's 2 touchdowns less, but we'll keep going. 1 interception so far. So he has been pretty clean with the ball. He's not making dumb passes. And he has a 4-2 record for the Steelers. So not only has the record improved, he's improved on getting less interceptions. He's improved on getting rushing touchdowns, so he's knowing when to run the ball and when he needs to. He's not taking unnecessary hits. Passing, he had less, but if you look at last year, the games where he did really good was against the Commanders, my Commanders, which we sucked last year. So while he did get 4 touchdowns and he should have, it kind of the games he got more touchdowns and it wasn't against good teams. Like last year, the Falcons were pretty bad too. But if you look at it, the stats, better rushing. He's got better stats, honestly. Not as many passing touchdowns, but that's difficult to talk about compared to the talent on the other teams he went against last year in the first six to this year. But so far he's 10-1 touchdown to interception ratio, and then last year he started 12-6. So he's doing better with interceptions. He's doing better rushing. He's doing better with a lot of things. He's last year he had around the same kind of wide receiver room, I'd say. You had around the same. I don't think there's too many more. DJ Moore and Mooney, I guess you could say you had one more explosive wide receiver than last year because the Steelers, I don't see too many crazy explosive wide receivers. He did have Cole Kmet, which is one of the best tight ends in the league, in my opinion. So looking through this, you look at his top 6 games this year. Last year, you're going to look at Russell Wilson's. He had a pass of the last year, the first 6 games for the Broncos. Russell Wilson's stats were 99 passer rating, 1,305 yards, 12 touchdowns, passing touchdowns, plus 3 rushing touchdowns, 4 interceptions in the first 6. So he had less interceptions. He had more touchdowns overall. He had a better passer rating and more yards. This has to go with the types of losses because if you look at last year, they lost to the Commanders, which we sucked. They beat Chicago, so they beat Justin Fields, but so Russell Wilson did start last year with better stats. You can say that's an argument for Russell Wilson getting to start. He had better stats starting last year. He had more interceptions, but if you look at the losses, Bears, they had some bad losses, but they didn't have the loss like the Broncos had to the Dolphins. That game was absolutely terrible. I think it was 70-20. So you have a loss like that. Yes, the stats were better, but the types of losses he was taking were much, much worse. So think about it. He had better stats, but he wasn't doing well if you think of it. Neither of them were doing perfect, so both records were pretty bad for even though their stats were okay. But going into this year, 4-2 for the Steelers. Justin Fields has majorly improved from last year, in my opinion. He's smarter with it. He seems more confident. He's saying he can play better, and if he was playing better, it would be probably at least what Russell Wilson is, less interceptions and like better stat wise, but he might have had better stats, but it's not indicative to the record because the Broncos did way worse last year with Russell Wilson. So the Steelers are starting 4-2 with Justin Fields. That's probably like the best start Justin Fields has had in his career. He's being smart. He honestly they could be 6-0. They could have beat the Cowboys. They kind of messed it up at the end. And the Colts, I don't really know why they lost that game, but they did. So honestly, it's very close for the Steelers being 6-0, you can say. And going into 6-0, if you go to the Chiefs quarterback, one of the best quarterbacks of all time, Patrick Mahomes, while you look at the stats, I'm going purely off stats. I'm not saying Justin Fields is better than Patrick Mahomes. I'm not saying that. But statistically, so far, Patrick Mahomes has a pass rating of 88.9, which is worse than Justin Fields. He has 1,235 passing yards, a little bit better, 6 touchdowns, and 6 interceptions. Patrick Mahomes not rushed for a touchdown. So if you look statistically, Patrick Mahomes is doing worse than Justin Fields. In game wise, yes. And this is, sorry, first 5 games for Patrick Mahomes. Sorry, first 5 games for him. They're 5-0, and they're probably going to be 6-0. But if you look at the Steelers, while they aren't 6-0 like the Chiefs, arguably they could be 6-0. So the Steelers are right there. Justin Fields, statistically, you take one game away, he's probably still doing better than Patrick Mahomes. He's doing better. I'm not saying he's better, but he's doing better. Seeing a player who's 10-1 touchdown interception ratio in 6 games, and Patrick Mahomes, who's 6-6 through 5 games, already has 5 more interceptions, hasn't got a single rushing touchdown, only has one more passing touchdown. Of course, he's going to get some. But do you think he's going to get 4 touchdowns in the next game against the 49ers? I don't think so. So if you look at it statistically, Justin Fields is doing better than Patrick Mahomes. And if you see a player who's doing better than one of the best players of all time, I don't see why that gives you a reason to bench Justin Fields. Justin Fields says he can do better. Give him his chance. He's with a new team, new system. He's not used to playing in a, I'd say, better team. They're 4-2 so far. Give him some time. He can be really good for the Steelers. I know he can. And like it's not like a Brown situation where it's Deshaun Watson taking almost all your money, so you have to start him because you paid him this ridiculous and terrible contract, which you never should have gave him in the first place, and he's playing terrible. Justin Fields and Russell Wilson, they aren't giving you big contracts. The people who are paying Russell Wilson are the Broncos. He's getting a minimum, a league vet minimum. So why do you feel the need to start Russell Wilson right now? He's been having worse and worse years. He had better stats last year than Justin in the first 6 games, but both teams were terrible. So it doesn't really matter. I mean, I guess it kind of matters, but it really doesn't when both teams were awful. Then, like, it's just how Justin Fields has been playing. I know he's not playing perfect. He says he can play better, but he hasn't been playing bad. That's the thing. 1 interception compared to last year in the first 6 games where he had 6 interceptions. So he's being smarter. He's playing smarter. Yes, the first game they only got field goals, but he's improved since then. He's been smart with the ball. They should have beat the Cowboys. They honestly should have. And they should have beat the Colts. But they were close games. It's not like they got blown out by teams that were not as good. I mean, the Cowboys, you could say they're better, but so far the Cowboys have been hot garbage. The Commanders are doing better than them. That's scary for the Cowboys and Jerry Jones, who went freaking crazy on a podcast. But less than that and more on Justin Fields. I don't see him getting benched by my standards of why he should get benched. He shouldn't get benched. Like, I don't see why he could. You're not paying Russell Wilson a crazy contract that needs him to be started because you paid him that. You're paying him a league minimum, so it's not a Deshaun Watson situation. Justin Fields is playing good. So it's like a mentor. Just leave Russell Wilson as his mentor. If the Steelers start to go bad, if they start to lose their winning record, then maybe I see Russell Wilson going in. But with Justin Fields playing good, being smart with the ball, arguably, statistic wise, doing better than Patrick Mahomes, I don't see a reason you cut him. But that's just me. The Steelers are a different thing. The coaches are a different thing. They have their reasons. They have their faults. He shouldn't get start. He should be starting Justin Fields, but if he doesn't, it is what it is. But next, going into some trades in the NFL, Devontae Adams has been traded to the New York Jets. With the New York Jets, they did just lose to the Bills. Very good game. Only reason they lost, in my opinion, is because Williams slipped, and I believe he ran a wrong route, which is what Aaron Rodgers said. So they could have won or tied it, and their kicker missed 2 field goals. So there's multiple reasons they lost. It's on them. It really is. So you could tell something had to be changed. They just fired their head coach, which he got taken out of the facility. Don't need to know the details. Just he got taken out. He got taken out. They just traded for Devonta Adams after a wide receiver really screwed them in the game. And the field goal kicker, which if it was Washington, he'd be gone by now because Cade York missed 2 field goals. We kicked him out. So he's been traded for a 2025 conditional third round pick. If you look at that trade, it's crazy. I'm not saying this is going to make the Jets a Super Bowl contender. In my personal opinion, it's not. You can't just trade one wide receiver and think it's going to be a whole changing. It's not like they're Super Bowl contenders and they need this one thing. They were literally leaving playoff contention, and this is their thing to get them into the playoffs, in my opinion. I don't think they're going to win too many more games. Honestly, they're going to probably win around Washington. I still don't think Washington's going to win too many games. I think maybe now like 8 or 9. I could see maybe the Jets getting that win ratio because Devonta Adams will help. You don't know what's going to happen with it. Of course, it could go terrible. It could go worse for the Jets than it's going now. I don't see it going like that, but it could go there. I think it will help, but I don't think it's going to make them anywhere near a Super Bowl contender. Him and Aaron Rodgers were really good on the Packers together. Both of them are not the same players they were then. Devonta Adams has a better chance of going back there, but Aaron Rodgers is not what he was like on the Packers. It's pretty simple to say that. He's been worse. He's thrown more interceptions. He's been doing arguably worse. He did tear his ACL. Like he has Achilles. He's had rough things happen, but he's not going to get back to where it was. It's not. I don't think there's a chance. So while it's good for the Jets to get that trade, it's good for them to have that player. I don't think it's going to help them too much. And personally, they'll win like maybe 8, 9 games now for the whole season, but it's not going to go too much better. Maybe they make playoffs, and that's pretty much it to me. That it's a good trade for them, but it's not going to help them. What will help them is another wide receiver trade, and that would be Amari Cooper to the Buffalo Bills. I've talked about the Browns already, how Deshaun Watson has probably one of the worst contracts in history, all the money guaranteed, like everything, terrible contract, worst in history. You've seen how he's played this year. He's played terrible. So the Browns are pretty much cleaning shop. They're getting rid of everything for pennies. Please, Commanders, trade for Denzel Ward. I'll talk about that in a minute. But they're trading things for pennies. Amari Cooper gets traded to the Bills for a 3rd-round pick and a 6th-round pick. So this is what the Bills need. Honestly, they are 4-2, same record as the Steelers. They need a wide receiver after losing Stephon Diggs. They need a wide receiver who can be a true number 1. Because Keon Coleman, the rest of them, Curtis Samuel's, like, they're not bad, but the highest one of them is a number 2 wide receiver. They need a definitive number 1 at the wide receiver position. Getting this trade, only giving up a 3rd and a 6th, is what they need. It's a player that can be that number 1 wide receiver for them in Amari Cooper, who's a little older, but can still be that guy for them. So the Bills needed this. This is the one thing I think they really needed because everything else has been pretty good. Defense has been pretty good. Offense, they need that one thing. We've been talking about the wide receiver. So this is a genius trade for them. It's perfect. The Browns are cleaning shop, sending anyone away. The only person really safe is Myles Garrett, and that makes sense because that's like a generational player. So that trade, I like it for them. It's something they really needed. It'll help them get wins. It'll help them be in Super Bowl contention, in my opinion, because they need that one. After Stephon Diggs left, everyone's like, "Oh, maybe it's gonna go bad because the wide receiver group is not what they were. It's not gonna be good." Turns out, Stephon Diggs maybe not needed as much as they thought. 4-2 gets his number 1 wide receiver. He does good. The haters on the Bills, Can't say anything. Personally, I thought it was going to be rough for them. So far, they've been pretty good. Next, we will go into some Commanders news because while we lost, I'm still in good spirits because I was annoyed that day because we lost. But I said before, if we could keep it competitive, it would be a win. To me, the game was competitive. The ending score was 23-30, Ravens win. This game was riddled with one thing that made us lose. If I could say definitively one thing, if it was slightly better, we have a chance of winning, but a higher chance, like 50-50 chance of winning. It would be our defensive backs. They are playing terrible. Absolutely hot garbage. Benjamin St. Juste can't cover Jack Diddley squat. He could not stay with Jay Flowers. Emmanuel Forbes didn't play, but I'm still going to talk about him. He's been playing terrible. Only bright spot so far is Mikey Sandstrom, Lil Mike as I like to call him. He got his first career interception, first interception for the Commanders this year, and he played pretty well. You know, he got some good defense. He got a hit on Lamar. Like he was playing good. Of course, he's not the only one that could save the Commanders. Like we need someone else. And that's really why we lost. Eventually, you know, they started running on us again, and that was because we couldn't do anything mentally correct. It was so bad. Noah Igbenogany didn't play well either. He's been better than we thought he did. He's been better than I thought, but he's still playing terrible. None of them can cover Zay Flowers. Zay Flowers had a field day. His best, I think one of his like best game of all time or something like that, yard wise. So like defensive back group sucks. We need to do something fast. And I wrote an article about this. I'll put in the description if you want to read it. But we need to either sign someone in free agency or we need to trade for someone. I'm going to go trade first. I said this earlier. Browns are cleaning shop. They're going to a rebuild. They have to, honestly. One of the worst contracts in NFL history. Their defense is not holding up like they did last year. They just lost their number one wide receiver. Nick Chubb is finally coming back. You don't know if he's going to be the same. He can squat the same, apparently. This dude's an animal. But you don't know if he's going to be the same. You have a 1-5 record, which is terrible. Worse than one of the worst in the league, probably, you know, with the Panthers. Worse. Like, you're cleaning shop. You need to go to rebuild. Sorry, Browns fans. You're going into another one of those. So, you want to get picks. Denzel Ward could be one of the people they trade. I don't know if he will because he's good. He's very good. He's one of the best pieces on their team. But the Commanders need someone. They really do need someone. Denzel Ward can be a player who can immediately start for the Commanders and be that number one cornerback we need. The cornerback, defensive back, whatever. He's that person we need. We did have some people come in. I know we had Kyle Fuller, older brother of Kendall Fuller, who we had on the team last year, which we lost, unfortunately, to the Dolphins. He was in. He didn't get signed, so I don't know if that's a good sign, bad sign. I don't know if they're going to sign him, but basically, it's telling the other defensive backs, like, hey, look, people are coming in for your jobs. Step it up now, or you're going to be gone or benched. Emmanuel Forbes already should be gone or benched. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I've said it too many times. He should be gone. But if we can get someone like some of the people are thinking in free agency, he's old. He's really old by NFL standards, but maybe there's a little bit, like a very little bit left in his tank, and he can just bring good leadership. Patrick Peterson. I think that is someone we can sign. I said he's old. He maybe doesn't have enough in the tank, but he's a good leader for us that we need. Of course, I'm not saying he'll be good, but just mentally, we needed a leader in that room. And Patrick Peterson is a 8-time Pro Bowler, 3-time first team All Pro selection. So he had the goods. Maybe he still has some of the goods and can help us there. And if we want to go younger, J.C. Jackson, Super Bowl champ, Pro Bowler, and 1-time second team All Pro selection. He's the younger one that I was thinking of. And of course, you look at last year when Christian Gonzalez got injured. Why couldn't we pick Christian Gonzalez? It haunts me every time I think of freaking Emmanuel Forbes because what we could have had. We could have had Joey Porter. Freaking okay. I need to stop. Back to what I was saying. J.C. Jackson. He struggled when he was brought back to the Patriots after Christian Gonzalez was injured. So he came in and struggled, but I can't imagine him being worse than Juiced or Emmanuel Forbes at this point. Give him a chance. He's still young. He still probably has it in him. Give him a chance to really shine. He can be cornerback one. See what he can do. We can't get much worse than what we've been playing. So anyway, if it goes bad, it's about the same level we've already had. So give that younger player a chance to come back. I know Patrick Peterson is old, so he's not like gonna be good. Well, really good. You never know. Maybe he's one of those older players that still got that juice in him. He needed a rest. He's back. But J.C. Jackson is probably a better pick in my opinion. Bring him in, see what he can do, see if he can play well, see what he can do for us. We can't get much worse. I know I keep saying that, but we really can't. Like, just drill it in your mind. The Commanders cannot get worse. Also, Jonathan Allen is injured. He's out for the season. Hopefully, John Newton, the younger guys, can kind of fix that hole for us. He's a good player. I know I talk about trading him, but it is what it is. I hope you heal. So the younger players are going to have to step up. Going into the stats, Jane Daniels, 24 for 35 on passing, 269 yards, and 2 passing touchdowns. Both the Terry McLaurin, him and Terry McLaurin are starting to feed generations with the connection they have. They've been great. Again, we could have won this game. I think we didn't. It just annoys me how close we were, but I'm happy we stayed close. Jane Daniels played a pretty good game. Didn't do anything too stupid. Got down when he needed to. Kept the game going. Had a good play where Noah Brown was getting held, so it turned into a pass interference. So he just threw it down there somewhere where he could catch it if the guy did let go, and Noah just could keep going, which was great to have Noah Brown back again. And he played well. I think sometimes he got a little rattled in the beginning, but he came back really quickly and played how he should be playing. Carrying wise, 6 carries, 22 yards, a little less than usual, but he's becoming a better pocket passer, having to do stuff like that. So he's becoming better in more regions of a quarterback than he's used to. So it's good to see him there. Zach Ertz, 4 receptions, 68 yards. Love to see that. Zach Ertz, he's been good. He didn't get a touchdown this game. Like, he usually gets like a touchdown or an extra point, so like two points. He's done that so far this year. But rough game for it. Not rough, but just like a mid game. Noah Brown, 4 receptions, 58 yards, and that pass interference call he got to keep us in the game, which I believe led to the Terry McLaurin touchdown, if I'm not mistaken. Terry McLaurin, 6 receptions, 53 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Biggest wide receiver of the game for us. That's really it. He got us to 2 touchdowns. He kept us in the game, and he's been that bright spot for us on defense. Dante Fowler Jr., 2 sacks. He's been doing pretty good. So maybe he can kind of fill in, maybe move to the middle. I don't know, move around a bit, kind of help this line keep going up because Deron Payne needs to step it up now that his running buddy is down. Of course, I can talk all I want about our team and praise them, but I do have to praise the Ravens and Lamar. 20 completions on 26 attempts, 323 yards, 1 touchdown pass to Mark Andrews, and 1 interception. Derrick Henry, 24 carries, 132 yards, and 2 touchdowns. He ran on us near the end. He really sealed the game for them, which sucks because we weren't doing too bad in the beginning containing him, but it's Derrick Henry. He's going to get his. Lamar's going to get his. And then Zay Flowers, 9 receptions, 132 yards. Crazy work for him. He did great that game, unfortunately. But yeah, those were the Ravens' big players. I love to talk about my Commanders, but I do have to give them a little bit of praise for what they were able to do. And they beat us fair and square. I mean, you could say those phone calls, but I'm not going to be like that. Our defense held. We lost them fair and square. We could have won. It was in our grasp, and we lost. So that sucks for us. And you can't really harp on it too much because, listen, next game against the Panthers, play your game, play good offense. Cornerbacks, this is your game to prove that you can at least keep up with some of the more mid receivers. I mean, their receivers aren't bad, but this is your chance to kind of redeem yourself. Defensive line, show what you can do without Jonathan Allen. Offense, just do what you're doing. Offense has been good. Offensive line didn't do terrible. They're staying better than what they were last year. And Terry, keep doing your thing, man. This is why I love that we have a good quarterback that will actually pass to Terry McLaurin because he deserves this. He's been needing this. 1,000-yard season, loading up. Top 5 wide receiver. Um, yeah, honestly, and run more. I know B Rob also was a reason we lost the game because he makes such a big difference for the Commanders with his running because we didn't run as much because it's just we didn't have that spark we needed from Brown Robinson, the guy that just pushes through people, just breaks tackles, does anything he wants to a defense. So we didn't really have that. So that sucks for us. But yeah, going against the Panthers, things we need to win, things we need to do. Going against the Panthers, things we need to do to win. Jaden Daniels, continue passing well. Continue going out of pocket when you need to. Try to avoid the hits. If Brian Robinson Jr. is back, give him the ball again. Let him run on the Panthers. Defensively, Frankie Luvu, Bobby Wagner, keep doing what you're doing. A little bit of, I think the last game wasn't terrible, but it wasn't the best game for them. Go back to what you were doing before that. Defensive line, don't take Jonathan Allen's injury too much to the heart. Play your game. And then cornerbacks just don't suck. Even if you play mid, we can win this game. It's the Panthers. If we lose to the Panthers, I might cry on the podcast. I might cry on an episode and still play it. Like, I do not care. So please beat the Panthers, the worst team in the NFL. But thank you guys for watching. Justice for Justin Fields. Have a great weekend and subscribe. Bye.